We're live, and good day to that. Let's see. We have a live chat here. Live chat. 10 seconds in. Hi, I'm your Sensei Al Bob. I'm here at the good old library, and I'm here to serve, and but not to surveil. And that's kind of get into today's live chat. Surveillance commerce, surveillance culture, surveillance society. There is our friends at Truthwind Media, or if you go on my playlist, you'll find them. And I think they do one of the best, if not all around YouTubes of information, and that they really go after things that you, the citizen, you, the cadre, all our relations should be aware of, right? To see what's really going on. Because all our founding fathers, basically, and why we have a First Amendment is that we're supposed to be, what is a republic? Republic is a thing. It's a government structure that is basically run by, how we have this balance of power, right? Well, theirs was that they had these city-states, like within Greece, that was Greece, there are all these city-states. And they all did something good, and Sparta, Sparta, everyone thinks of the Spartans, these badass dudes, but really it was run by women. It was a matriarchy. And the guys served the girls in all ways, and they went out and did the fighting. And the way the city was built, it was like built on a hill, and they built like these walls that kind of made a block, not so much walls and then things were inside of it. These walls were, and then the city was up here. Now they had all kinds of stuff in it, but the city was up here, and the big gate, and then they had this inclined plane that went up. And so when the Spartan army went out to fight, the people who ran it were the women, and they would be around the inclined plane and throw flowers at them. Good luck, boys. Kick ass. Make us proud. And they would go up. And if they didn't win, they would come back. And the women would have their backs to them. Right? If they won, they were like, "Ooh, baby, you're going to get it tonight." Throwing flowers down on them. And so that's how the Greece had its republic, because there were all these separate little states, just like we have separate little states. We just don't have one contiguous. And the idea with that, with states' power and the federal government power, that was a balance of power, because all those states were supposed to be like little governments, right? And but the borders between, there was no taxes between the states, and there was no, but they had their individual thing going on. And legalization of marijuana and other things is a good example. There's like 20-something states in the United States where you can consume, purchase, buy legally, not only medical cannabis, but recreational. Right? You go to Colorado, it's like Amsterdam. And so, that's kind of how it rolls. And it was same with gambling. Gambling was a thing that, that was evil, oh, terrible, oh. And then one state had a lottery. And back in the days, in the 1920s, that was called the numbers. When I was a kid in Harlem, everybody played the numbers. It was a harmless thing, 25 cents. There was all these people putting 25 cents. I think it was every day they picked the numbers. And, the mob would get, 80%, and the 20 would go to whoever won the lottery. And, there was 1 million people who played that neighborhood's numbers. And so, a million people put in 50 cents, that's a lot. That's like, I mean, a million people put in 50 cents. That's like, a million every day, not that, it's like, maybe 200,000, 300,000 would go to the winner. Well, that's a lot of money. And you had a million people, everybody's playing, you knew somebody who got that. That's a life, 1950, that's a life changing amount of money. But the mob got, uh, you know, 800,000 every day. That was a no fuss, no muss kind of thing. And it employed a lot of people. That was another thing. Everybody knew, some nephew or uncle or somebody who was involved, and so it employed a lot of people. Anyway, so the governments, in the 70s and 80s, state by state, they said, oh, we're going to do that. So that's kind of one of the balance of powers, right? And then they had the legislature, and then they had the executive, and they had the courts. And there was another balance of power. And one of the main reason why we had a revolution from England was King George forced the United States, the colonies, um, to have a central bank that he owned. And so, just like our central bank, he was, for every dollar they put in it, he took 90 cents. They got to keep a dime. And that's what our Federal Reserve, and we don't see it because it goes to buy stuff from all around the world. Oil, the dollar is the petrodollar. It used to be the petropound, and then with the war over the Suez Canal in the 50s, that's when England, just like the Nazis, allowed that to go away so we could be the chumps that have the petrodollar that would eat. Hey there, buddy. Yo, Mr. Infinity or Ms. Infinity, or I'll just say Infinity. And so then we took that place. We've always been the Anglo European bitch. We always fought their wars. We always gave them the resources. We always did all the above. Now we are letting the third world do ours. In essence, I am back. So I'm back. YouTube's been having fun with us, but I keep getting back on here, and I will probably, having problems up at the school, having problems here, but I still get back here. Yesterday afternoon's YouTube from here took 18 hours to load, right? And it's supposed to be like that. And if it gets hung up, it's supposed to kick you out in 18 hours. Right? So all of my, YouTube friends who really know what they're doing, I call them up. Say, what the heck is going on? And they say, well, these guys, and I don't know, have, I don't like to call you subscribers, but there's 270 of you, 77. Why should they even care about what I do? And I tell right from the beginning, hi, this is Sensei Al Bob. Don't believe anything I say. I'm just a storyteller. This is just a story, And, if there are any kids, shush them out of the room. This is a YouTube for adult consumption, for entertainment only. And, I get maybe 11 to 20 people in the chat when we do it. And so, email, yes. So, Infinity, do you know all of my, everyone who wants to get a hold of me, go to the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, right? I want you to go to my blog where you can leave comments. I'd love comments. And it is xratted.blogspot.com. And I'd love it if you were to go and read it. And I have I have 26 novels. I'm writing another 6 as we speak. I go use their computers here, put a thumb drive in, and type away. So I have a lot of information. Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. Yep, Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. Yep, that's it. And if you are in America and you want to talk on the phone, give me your phone number and I'll call you. And so anyway, here we are. And what we are moving in. So those guys, so again, my playlist is very interesting. And there's this one group called Truth Stream Media or something like that. And they really do a good job. And they have really good on what everything is. And they've been doing it 5 or 6 years. And they have a big following and they're really good. I mean, and then there's Jimmy Dore, and then there's Gracefulness, right? Truly Gracefulness, I think. Those three, I think, are the best, at least in my opinion, of all the people going on, because there are a lot of interesting folk with their YouTube, but they all have an opinion. They all have a belief, and they put it out like it's, that's it. This is it. The people, Donnie is a superhero going after the deep state, blah, blah. But you look at his cabinet, it's all the bankers who caused the '08 crash. The guy who's head of the Treasury Department, caused that. Right? There is no difference. We have the best politicians money can buy. They're not. That's not our money. They're not representing us. And they pass laws like Nancy Pelosi and et al. Or Madam Pelosi. That's what I call her. She's been in there forever, and you should go see where she came from, San Francisco. Her point of entry into the big time was the assassination of Harvard Milton, Mayor Moscone. And if you want to go into, and that's a perfect thing, the CIA invented this term, conspiracy theory, because it came out of the Tavistock Institute, which is like, go look those guys up. And this, if you go to the Truth Stream Media gang, they have tremendous shows on mind control. And they're really good. These guys are scholars. They really look at everything, where it came from, who it was, da da da. And they have a number of great shows about Turing, who was the guy who wrote the book on the digital world that we're now in. And he wrote it in the 40s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And he had worked for the MI5 and MI6 his whole freaking career. So he only has a couple of published works, right? And one of them is two of his best that got published was one on what do they call it? When you become a robot, you are now we're going into transhumanism, but before that it starts with a C or a G. Anyway, it'll pop into my mind. And he has a book on that, and he has another one that he basically is taking what computers are, and computers were mechanical, right? They weren't even electronic. They had vacuum tubes doing switching things, but he envisioned the digital computer, and he wrote, and virtually everything he ever wrote in research is still classified. And he got to a point, so he wrote these two things that kind of got out, and his overseers wanted to control him. He was gay. So is half of all anybody around the world is, because you have to realize the structure of where we are at is there is the base, right? And that base is the expendables. And that's 98% of the world. That's 99% of the world's population. Like the 6.1 billion people are expendable. And Plan 21, the UN agenda, wants to get rid of, 3/4. They want, you go to Georgia Stones, they want the human population on this earth to be 500 million. That way they're more controllable. The 6.9 billion that are out here is. So there's about 6.1 that are expendable. And we're being culled as we speak by our diet, by our environment, by our economic system, by our religions. It's culling the population. And all of these social entities are controlled by what I call the hidden hand, right? And then there is the powers that shouldn't be, and then the sock puppets. And that's the managerial class, right? So the bottom of the pyramid is the expendables, and that's like 98% of us. And then there is the worker drones. And you go, oh, you mean the guys in the factories and the no, the worker, the expendables are the guys working in the factories and the mines because they don't care. You die, the mine falls down. Oh, it's so bad, those people. No, they're working in a factory and the stuff is flying by, and every muscle in their body, they get worn out like cogs in a machine. And the guy who was the little tramp did that movie Modern Times where he gets caught in the machine, right? And that's us. The 98% of the human race were expendable. Managers aren't. They aren't the guys working in the factory. No, the worker drones aren't the guys. They are the lawyers, the doctors, the judges, the priests. That is the worker drones, right? Then there's a managerial class, and those guys are like the DuPonts, the Rothschilds, the Carnegies, that class. And before that, the old wealth was the Biltmores, the Astors, and those guys were taken out on the Titanic. All that old wealth was on that boat. It went down. I mean, it went down. If you ever watched that movie, it went down right there in the, there wasn't a storm, there was not a cloud that you could see all the stars. And that captain, he basically plowed that boat. I mean, he was going full speed ahead, because I want to make the record, full speed ahead into an ice area where there were icebergs, gigantic of ice, and most of it under the water. And he was flying through it at night at the fastest the boat could go. And it wasn't even the Titanic. It was his sister copy ship that had an accident and ripped the side of the boat open. And they just put some Coke can on it and riveted it back and then put Titanic on it. And it was still a fancy boat. It was really nice, blah, blah, blah. And in the process of doing that, they had all of the boat, it was like unsinkable because they had all these sections they could just lock it up. When they repaired the boat, did it in such a way that the whole side of the boat didn't have all those compartments that locked up automatically. So the whole boat kind of filled up with the water, and the back got most of it. So it did this. And I mean, what's his name? Cameron got the visual right of what happened to that boat. That's exactly what happened. Like tipping like this, and everyone's up there and flying down, and it cracked in half, and that was it. But so here's the captain flying through the water, and they knows that they're there, and basically he has done something that he can be blackmailed. So they say, listen, do this, and you will take care of your family forever, and you'll be a hero, right? So he's flying through the icebergs, and they say, oh, now if he had just plowed straight into that iceberg, everyone would have fallen down, but the boat would have survived. He turned in such a place where that place of the boat that had Coke cans on that side, he ripped that hole from the front of the boat to the back of the boat. And so Night Star or something like that, the boat company, was owned by Mr. Rothschild. And he told all the boats in that area that he owned, which were all the boats in that area, to normally they keep their wireless on all the time, and they have ships, and he had everyone turn off their radio like at 8:30, right? And so the boat, Titanic, or it's the sister ship of the Titanic, rips the side, gets all this. The movie was great. It really showed all the water rushing in and everyone, and so they have flares. So they were like, help us, help us, help us. Nobody answered. So they have flares because, the second in command said, we have our sister ships are all over here. There's a couple of ships that were at least within 10 miles away and could, within the time that the boat first did this and did that, it was a couple hours before it really did this and it sank immediately. So they were shooting off flares, right? And the captains that were within 10 miles could see those flares. And their second in command, aren't those flares mean they're in trouble? And the guys, oh no, that's the Titanic. They're shooting off fireworks. And so, and the guy on the radio said, can I turn the radio back on? I mean, we always keep it on. Why do we have it off tonight? And this is like 9/11. You know, there's so much, if you go to architects and engineers or 9/11 Truth, those guys have so much data. And they published books and had hearings in Canada. It's like unbelievable. And yet, no one will talk. Oh, we talk about that. That's conspiracy theory. And that's what, after World War II, the CIA, once the CIA was made, they said, okay, we need to have crowd control because there's a lot of stuff that's going to pop up. Like, end of World War II, Germany bombed to the Stone Age. You know, the Nazis win the war and take over our government. You know, Werner von Braun is poster child of that. Let's see. Let's just go back. So Infinity's been, let's see, yo, I'm back. Email. Yes. Type in your email. Let's see. This match is held for review. Due to wake, does not exist. Well, that's because it's the dude awake 42 at Gmail. The dude awake 42 at Gmail. Did I say that's all enough? Did I say complete enough? You know, if you can't understand what I'm saying, it's because I have 4 teeth in my head. Because I have no money to go to the dentist. They just kind of rot out and fall out. And that's because I genetically got all my, I am so sick, I have everything my mother has. Yes, I doubled down on it, living the corporate life between 2006 and 2014. But hey, I'm still alive. And, you know, it got me awake. And that's why I'm the dude awake 42 at Gmail. Okay, got that? Got it, Mr. Infinity? How about that? You got it? You got it? Infinity, you got it? Yo, Infinity, yo, Infinity, yo. And I have to apologize that I'm really good at answering my Gmail. But man, so I have 270 people who are the cadre, but I have about 70,000 people watching this, right? And those people get a hold of me on the Dude Awake and want to know, oh, Sensei, Bob, tell me what to do with my life. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And I pretty much answer everybody, but I get 50 to 100 emails a friggin' day. And some days I just, you have to realize that I have all, diabetes, neuropathy, aplastic anemia. I have charcoal legs. I have diabetic eyes. I have a lot of things going on. And and I died, I died in a plate of spaghetti and they brought me back and they wanted to rip my chest open and replumb my heart. No way. They wanted to cut my legs off. No way. And I still got them, right? Because I wouldn't let it do it. I didn't let fear take hold of me. And, there was a guy, a really good lawyer who was my employer at the time, my client. And he brought me to the hospital because I was having lunch with him. And I fell into a plate of spaghetti and the ambulance came. And they took me there and they put me in ICU and hooked me up to the machines and snapped me back to life. And we got to operate. No, he wasn't I didn't sign anything, but he's like the Perry Mason of that city. He's got billboards and, he's a corporate guy. And everyone knew this guy and scared of him. So when he said, oh, well, do what you got to do to keep this guy alive, I need him. I was in the ECU and they were preparing me to get cracked. And because this big fancy lawyer said, do it. Because I had nobody who was I wasn't awake. And my mommy and daddy were dead. And my siblings, so I have nobody as my power of attorney. He was an attorney, the most famous, lawyer in that neck of the woods. So he said, yeah, do it. So I came alive just before they were about to. And I said, wait a minute, what are you getting? What are you doing? And they explained it to me. I said, no, you're not going to roll me out of here. Get me back to that lawyer. And I said, So I said, that guy, you know who he is. I don't want it. I didn't sign anything. I'm like waving at him. He's on the other side of the glass wall. He's realizing something's wrong. And so he's going to, so you better roll me in there. So they did. They put me on thing, sent me in there. I said, listen, I don't know if these guys have touched me. You want me to finish the job like in the next week? Well, if you have them cut me up, man, I won't be awake for another 6 months. So this is what I need, I guess. I need a colonic. I need this. I need that. And you're the big kahuna in this city, so you must be able to know somebody to get into. He did right away. He found the right person. They took me to their clinic. They did colonic and aromatherapy and acupuncture and massage and changed my diet and did all that stuff. Okay. Anyway, so so that's why I'm here, but to keep this little avatar walking around for you guys, because I serve you guys. I don't serve you guys. I serve Love's Co-Creation by being your griot, by being your sensei. The whole things that we need to do in the next 18 months. And people are so controlled, like I said. We live in a surveillance society. Why has Google and YouTube and been like, wee, with Sensei Albob's channel? How can they be threatened by a guy who only has 270 subscribers? And I would just say, guys, more of these, and go get your friends. You guys should be having salons. I do this every night. I pretty much at 7:30, I go do this. You should have, whoever has the best Wi-Fi, you should have all your friends with their little laptops watching the show at 7:30. And we should be able to get Dreamy Dreamland, the Sensei Albob, to get 1,000 subscribers really soon. Because the thing was, I semi got addicted to this, because all I had to do was push one button. I could do a live chat. This, I got to do a ton of stuff to get it to do it, right? I can only do it in this library. I can sometimes do it at the school because that Wi-Fi is starting to get wonky, and John may even be. I can never. People, John must be attacking you. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, if he is, I feel sorry for the guy. I really don't think he is. No, he is. He's probably technically adroit enough. He doesn't let, everyone thinks he's, an idiot, but he's not. He's really smart. He's really talented. He's got all the capability. He doesn't do squat. Right? Go look at his Big John. That is the level of, but he has real creativity. He actually has real genius. When we're talking the stuff he says to me, that's why I used to do these YouTubes with him, where we were Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin, Abbott and Costello, and those got a lot of hits. Now, what he didn't like was that everyone said, "Shut up, John," and just let Al talk. And he got upset because he wanted to be the star. He didn't want me to be the star. And you see, every night when I do, a live chat, he comes down and tries to push me out of the way. Hey, how you doing? And he doesn't even talk about what we're talking about. But see, John, the real value of John is that he is like the mirror of our culture. You look at John and go, what a dweeb. Well, that's you, kind viewer, empathetic viewer, because he doesn't have a down deep that I can go see. He's a really kind person. He's a really smart person. He's really got a lot going on. But because he is the canary in the coal mine, he represents what our culture is, and he can't step back from it. He spends God knows how much on what is that thing where they deliver stuff to you, off the internet? They're taking over the world, Mr. Washington Post. Anyway, John Boy, he is that. And that's why, A, he's my friend. B, I never give up on someone I care about. Right? I can get And people, you're insane. How can you do that? No, John, if you want to fly 747, they just don't like give you the keys and put you behind the wheel. No, they put you in a simulator. Now, I've been a shrink, but I haven't been a shrink for 30 years. Now, I use my shrinky abilities within my little toolbox to do all the things I do, but, I'm not really, I don't hang up. I have a master's in social work in the study, which allows me, if I went through all the processes, whatever state I'm in, getting registered, all that, it's such a waste of time. And I don't want to do it because the institution of that is corrupt, just like virtually every friggin' institution we have. That's why I want to start the Humanities Artist Trust International, because the most important thing is humanity and its culture. And you can't trust your priest because he's buggering your kid. You can't trust your politicians because they're owned by the transnational corporate state of the, secret hand. Ooh, baby, a trainer out there. You can't trust the corporations. You can't trust the universities. They're bankrupting. The two things that are going to cause another economic crash in the next 8 months. I'm not quite sure whether it'll be before the election or after. Depending, it all depends on the hidden hand, whether they want to keep Donnie in power or they, because, it wasn't the Russians that colluded. It was the hidden hand, because the hidden hand is in every freaking planetary. It's a transnational entity. And it isn't the Russians, it isn't the Americans, it isn't the North Koreans, it isn't the this and then it's everybody. All those people that represent that. And so Donnie Trump and the Queen of England and the Little Rocket Man and all those people who are the cast of characters. That's all they are. They are mud puppets. You can see their strings, right? And it's a script. Everything is scripted. There is nothing that is sincere within our culture except the artist in the first person. Now, if you go read Huxley's Brave New World, basically it's showing what the utopian world would look like, right? And it basically they are out there in the deep woods and they find this guy and he's really handsome and he's white and he fits all the categories of what's popular, what's trending in the market of the surveillance market of the Brave New World. And they bring him in, put him on TV, and he's really popular. All the girls want to have sex with him, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, it's kind of cool. And, he lives in a big palace, and he's got all the money he ever wanted, all the fame. He's like Pootie Man, right? Guy in Sweden, right? But this guy grew up in the woods. He was with all his relations, all those animals. And they were like coming in to like mine it, chew it up, cut all the trees down. And that's how they found this guy. He was, born out there. His parents were like anthropologists studying everything, and then they die. One, I think, died in an accident. The other one died, from a disease and left a kid. He was old, and they taught him how to read and these books, and he was probably around 10 or 11 when he was left alone. And it was like the Jungle Book. The animals took care of him. And then, the Brave New World kind of discovers him and brings him in and tries to turn him into a product. And he's trying to tell the people what like me, Sensei Al-Bob, as a Griot, he's telling them stories. He's telling them about what's important, how nature is it, and all this. Yeah, that's fine. This big, gleaming, modern, utopian thing. No, that's going to kill you. You got to watch out for that. That's the machine. That's not good. And people, and they called him the savage. So in the Humanities Artist Trust International, the Artist Trust, the only person we can trust today is the artist, not, Andy Warhol is not a good example, but the artist today who's I don't even know, who's trending as art. All that's just is part of that surveillance art. It's all marketed stuff. Now, art has always been, but you always had guys like Vincent van Gogh and Matisse, and that all through time, those artists, Um, and so here we are again, this window, 18 months of great opportunity. We can, just a few little pebbles in the pond, we can knock this catastrophe that's coming because, again, from 1965, that's when the Aquarian age is an age of Aquarius. That's when it kind of started. That's when the effect started to pull us into Aquarius and leave Pisces. Pisces, what is Pisces? Pisces is the age of getting what you want through violence, lying, and cheating and stealing, right? That's Pisces, right? And Aquarius is like the major thing is to understand, um, and through understanding, we get a balance where, because this planet is a land of abundance, we understand what's going on, right? So, that's kind of where it's at, and all through, people go, oh, it's the end of times, it's so terrible, it's so evil, it's no. If you go look at history, it's been his story for us, and our recorded history kind of is Thucydides who started writing it, but they had written the Sumerian tablets, they had it written before him. But what he was the first guy who got paid by the man to write history. I mean, even the Sumerians, they wrote history as the power set. The Anunnaki, the guys from time and space out there, and who made us. You want to know who's the extraterrestrial? We freaking are. And you want to know the Antichrist? We are, because we are carbon-based creatures. What is carbon? 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. We are the Antichrist. Get your little head wrapped around that one, you born-again Christians. I'm not against anybody because I don't believe in anything. All of this stuff is an illusion because the only reality is love's co-creation. That's the only reality. Everything else is a Luciferian illusion, right? Now, our universe is just like a message in a bottle. It's just, oh, it's the whole universe. Well, that's nothing compared to what is out there. And what happened was, back in the beginning, everything was dark. What is dark? Like this chair I'm sitting in, right? 99.9% of 99.009% is what is known as dark matter. And that's the darkness that they're talking about. And in the beginning, all things were dark, right? And then there was the word, right? And what was the word? It was love co-creation going, Frack, I'm bored. Everything's just, how I set it up, it's just kind of humming away, and it's been forever. And I want a little more entertainment than this. So what does love co-creation do? It creates a consciousness that has a free will. That means that that consciousness doesn't have to abide by the hegemony of heaven. It can do whatever the heck it wants, right? But it's so filled with love. It co-creates with love, and love is going, whoa, this is what I was looking for. This is the bomb. And so, basically, what happens is Lucifer, who's there's love's co-creation, and love's co-creation put Lucifer in charge of all of heaven and heaven's hegemony. He was the top dog. And then when love's co-creation made these consciousness with free will, well, Lucifer didn't quite have free will. What Lucifer had was an ego, and so he was the top dog forever, and he was so pissed that love's co-creation chose, this new consciousness over him. He whined and kicked and screamed like a little bitchin' baby, and he broke heaven's hegemony, broke heaven, right? And that was the Big Bang. His like, broke heaven. That was the Big Bang. And it made this Luciferian, and what was that? In the beginning, everything was dark. And then the word, like, loves co-creation. Going, I'm bored. I want something new. And then we came up, not we per se, but conscious of the free will came around, right? And so, right, and Zingo, this bubble was created by the energy of Lucifer, because he's the illuminated one. Well, I'm a light bringer. I work in the light. No, you're a servant of Lucifer. If you're going on about, I'm a light, well, you're an illuminated one. You are, the Illuminati. That's Albert Pike. Go look up Albert Pike. And he started his little. He was a Scottish Mason, and he kind of branched off. He rebranded, and when was his rebranding? The Illuminati. And he did that. When did he do that? 1796, like right around when we came about, or a little earlier. But I think it was a few years, because all our founding fathers were Masons, right? And when they went through that tea overboard, the revolution wasn't taxation without representation. Nobody drank tea unless you're an Anglophile. No, they just did that because it was easy. And what they did was they dressed up. They didn't just dress up like Indians on, it's Halloween. No, they, in their Masonic lodge, they mixed the Iroquois nation and Masonicness together. And that's our federal government. And our whole government is based on the great law of the Iroquois nation. Go look that one up. You can go look up who the great peacemaker is. Look up the whole, story of the Iroquois nation. Right? Someday I'll tell it to you. When what we're going to do. One day, maybe tonight, we'll go into our hedgerow longhouse, in our house of Know Thyself, and we will see. And I would take you. Look at that. It was like a tornado out there, and now it's sunny. That's called spring. Anyway, so maybe tonight, if the internet's working, if John isn't so John, I will do that. Okay, so let's see how many people are on there. Oh, big 5. We're getting there. So let's see what everyone's saying. So Zero Infinity. He got my thing. Jamie's there. Greetings, Cal Jane. Jane, yes, hi, baby. John has disabled comments on all his shows, so I can't say lovely things to him. Yeah, I know. He doesn't see. He doesn't want to hear anything. He's my friend. Friends will tell their friends things that they don't want to hear, right? Because they're friends. Most people couldn't care less. You just ignore the person and go on, right? Yeah, that's fine, John. Good. Oh, hey, yeah, right. No, I've been trying, and every time I talk to him, and I can talk like a shrink and get in there to get him to try and see things. What's going on? How'd you do this? Why did you do that? That represents this. Well, you should think about that. He gets upset, screams and yells, and goes, "I don't want to. You're fighting with me. You're fighting with me." And he's the one screaming and pounding his head and hurting himself. Because he hurts himself. So I'll shut up. I mean, he really doesn't, but he'll smash a lamp or put a brick through a wall, or I mean, those are just metaphors. But he's trying to say, hey, you better shut up, or this could be you. I mean, he's never harmed me, and but that kind of rage comes way back. It's so pent up, and I'm trying to, and what I do, at certain times I can, just let the steam out easily, and he doesn't notice, and he's staying in a pretty good shape and not that depressed and da 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 da. But when he starts to build up, and I'm going, I have to really believe. It's like when they let the water out of the dam, and the town down below gets drenched. Well, there's sometimes I kind of have to really sit him. He sits down, and especially about the time he's about to eat, he's like, it's like a dog. He's there to be fed, right? And every meal, I must have made him 1,000 meals, right? And I probably pay for more than half of it. I have no money. And yeah, he gives me $40 here, $100 there, especially when he wants me to go buy booze or whatever he wants. I want chicken. I want chicken, chicken, chicken. So I buy chicken and I make them chicken, chicken, chicken. They just want to eat chicken anymore. Oh, I want oranges. I want oranges, oranges. So I go buy him, 200 or 300 oranges, and he eats them all, like in a day or two or three, instead of eating one a day or two a day. He's like, oh, I can eat this. I can eat as much as I want because it's not a carb. Well, excuse me. Fruit and vegetables are carbs. They're not processed food. Meaning people shouldn't be so. It's like back in the day. Oh, you shouldn't eat meat. You shouldn't eat fat. You shouldn't have butter. You shouldn't eat whole milk. Oh, that's fat. That'll clog you. No, they find you need that. There's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. What is the bad cholesterol? But the processed foods. And John always said, you have to work out. If you worked out, you wouldn't get it. Yes, as I lose weight, I mean, the reason I'm alive is I get up, I walk around, I sit down, I get up, I walk around. But, I can't lift weights because the bones, I don't have bones in my legs, And if I stress them out by lifting up, I tried that and it's like, forget about it, can't do this. But I can walk, I can swim. Those are the exercises I do. But he said, oh, you should be on the weight machine. No, you should be. And, oh, you need to eat this diet. Like, all it is, meat, or all it is this, or, and it's like, really? And so, for 2.5, 3, 4, whatever, since 2015, I have been, working with him, and he is so much better than he was. But at a certain point, I'm just enabling, and he won't break through. And one day he said, after we do all the guided meditation, he said, I want to, can you do a guided meditation? I taught him how to meditate, and that was one of the things that got him out of his rage. And he kind of does it, but he won't do it regularly. I mean, I have to do it 5, 10 times a day just so I can live. And pretty much everyone should do it 5 or 10 times a day so they can just live. Anyway, so that's why John is important, that he is, number one, he's my friend. Number two, I'm not going to give up on him. Number three, he represents this amazing plethora, depth of you. And see, he you take the DSM, that book that says what's crazy and what pill you should give them. You take that. John doesn't quite meet the standard for any of them because he is all of them, right? So he's not a sociopath. He's not a psychopath. He's not, multiple personalities. He's not this. He's not that. He's not, manic depressant. He's all of that. He's like a smorgasbord, and that's why he has a problem with a shrink, because the shrink just wants to find one thing and give him a pill, and he's been, had that, and really, not so much. And that is there just to make money, not to really. I mean, yes, there are loads of shrinks. I have loads of friends who are shrinks because I was in the shrink world. I went to shrink school, and I was the odd man out. So all the really smart folk, the people at the top of the control board, would always go, well, let's talk to Al. So I had this kind of spot, just like I have a spot for you guys, and just like there's, 270 people as the cadre, within that community, I had about, 80 people who loved me, but they were like guys who published books and, head of departments and had, who were really respected, or as my mom would say, had a really responsible job. I was in their circle, and that's why I actually did that. I got that degree. I put the time in doing that because once I was doing it, I was actually, how I got there, I was doing a study on something for somebody. And part of that, I had to be working in a hospital, and I worked in a group home, hospital, and a jail to write this thing, and I had access to it through these guys, right? And So I got into that, and then out of that, somebody said, we have this program, and it's been kind of just waning. How would you like to be? You can't be the head guy, but you can run this thing, and be the guy the head guy who runs it and builds our database for us. You want to do that? I said, sure, yeah, that sounds fun. And they paid me pretty good, gave me access to something I really kind of wanted to understand because I was reading all these books from the Tavistock Institute and from the Council on Foreign Relations and from the Rhodes Scholar dudes and from there's two English, and the Macy's, the guy, Mr. Macy, him and Mr. IBM. Oh, the word I was thinking was just on the tip of my tongue. They wanted to turn humanity into controlled machines that just consumed, and manifested the need into, this consumerism, right? And there were lots of stuff published on that and what it was and what was needed and da da da. And Turing he was the number one boy on that. And like I said, all his stuff is like you can't read it. There's a few books. What is it? The word that where you're a human cyborg. That's the word. Turing's greatest book is blah 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 and cybernetics and the human blah 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 blah. And his next amazing book is a book where he takes that book and compares the cyborg with the human being, and they're my battery. Oh, there we go. Plug that back in. The human being, and so 51 minutes and 51 seconds. Anyway, let's go back and see what the gang is saying. Jamie, John, yep. Hope you be up today. I'm always on the up. I'm never on the down. I can get a little testy. This yesterday here, what I saw that just blew my mind. The people here are really good. This is a great library. I mean, when I had money and I paid I don't own anything, so I don't pay property tax anymore because I don't know anything. I'm a homeless guy. I live in my car. I live where, and that's why I'm happy. I own nothing. So, I mean, it's the only way I could get healthcare was to be destitute. But I'm a guy who lives like a millionaire and has nothing. And so yesterday I was here, and so I don't know if you saw the thing. There's a woman who was riding back and forth in her little wheelchair go-kart, right? And she had the stuff that Hawkins had, So she was in that thing, and her legs had so shriveled up that they looked like grasshopper legs, and they were underneath her. She was kind of sitting on them, and she was smart enough not to have them cut off because you have that, and it changes your body metabolism in such a way that you're dead pretty soon. So there's that, and she had a machine on her chest that was kind of breathing for her, and she had a colostomy bag, and you probably didn't see it because that's when YouTube kind of grabbed a hold of this. And it just, black screen with a circle going like this. And it was yesterday afternoon at the library. You might go look at that one. It's about 2 hours or something. I'm going to try and from now on keep these things under an hour and a half because it seems after 2 hours, and especially if there's, I want as many people in the chat, but more people in the chat, and if it goes past 2 hours, that's when YouTube kind of does something weird. But anyway, this girl's running around on this thing, and she is, dry. She got a thing in her mouth, and she's talking by looking at the screen and getting right. And she doesn't have the thing that speaks for her. You have to read her screen when she's talking to you. Anyway, this woman comes over to her, and I hear it, and on the other side of this stack, and she goes, "What are you doing here? You don't belong here. I mean, look at you. I mean, look, you're exposed." She could see the colostomy bag and the thing on her chest was like, she didn't have a bare chest. She had this gigantic machine on it, but she wasn't wearing clothes up there. She had a kind of cape, a blanket over her. Anyway, so she was modest. She said, "Oh, this will scare children. You shouldn't be here. This is terrible. You should go where no one can see you." And I heard this, and I got up and I went over there, and I just leaned into that lady. I said, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "Well, these people come here, and the librarian here is really a great person. And there is a helm not too far here, and the only place in this whole city that they're allowed. I mean, they're legally could go anywhere they wanted, but the guys in the mall, oh, this is bad for business. We don't want them here. This is." And so the only place is this librarian lady lets them come here, and they go play the games in the kids section. The kids are nice to them, but their parents aren't. And so there's always at least 3 times a week they roll up in their little bus, and because this place is so handicap accessible, there's ramps everywhere, elevators. People can go anywhere. So anyway, that lady she was like, with those people. Those people shouldn't be here because they're people who have autism and they're called disabled, but they're not. I've talked to them. They're very able. They're just looking at things from a different point of view. Anyway, so this woman, this was like, and this lady who was in a wheelchair had heard it before. She just got up. She was looking at him like, you know, it's not really bothering her. It's not like she's heard it before, and she's like praying, like, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. And so I went over and leaned into her like nobody's business, and basically the librarian lady had to like put her hand on my shoulder. So I'll take care of this because she let me really do my thing. I can take anyone apart. I can just look into them and see who they are and tell them, "Oh, you're acting this way because your sister was this way, and you did this, and you were mean to that girl in 3rd grade, and you got a rush out of it. And you've been a bully ever since." I just went after this lady, and she was like going back, and that's when the librarian lady came in and said, "I'll just cool it. I got this." So I did, and I took the woman in her wheelchair and brought her over my circle. We talked, and we had a nice little conversation. And we would have talked longer, but my everything was down. I was going to air about that, and her group said, "Come on, let's go again on the bus." And so they rolled out of here because they kind of saw what happened, and they didn't want to just okay, let's go. But the librarian lady threw her out. Said, "Don't ever come back." "You can't do that." Did I pay my? She said, "Oh yes, I can do that. You're out." So, um, so that was so when I got home yesterday. My YouTube had totally whacked my channel, and I couldn't do anything with it. And the librarian science lady was really good on computers. She tried. I've never seen this before. Normally you can just get out. And anyway, and so John is just manic. Oh, it was a beautiful day. I haven't been depressed at all. But do you think I should get back to He went on to the laundry list, and I said, and because I don't want to go to. Can I? Do you think I can live without going to doctors? And just went on and on and on. I said, listen, John, you have a great life. You got great health. You look good. Girls actually like you if you just be who you are down inside of you. You'll be fine. But you've got this laundry list going on that, and then I kind of started again deconstructing it, showing him what it was. And he got to a point. Why are you starting a fight? And that's when it kind of people go, boy, yes, this is amazing. You're a saint. No, I am a human being. So and then I said, oh, really, John? and he showed the big thing he did was the Big John song, which was a basic. Oh, what is it when you sing along when they have the words there? Karaoke. He went to a karaoke channel and mouthed Big John, and that's his new. He said, "This is going to go really big. People are going to love it." And I just kind of lost it. Because after dealing with that woman who was in a wheelchair, who's like, and her basic attitude for the little time we talked was like, I'm going to be out of this body soon, and I've learned a lot from this, and I'll move on. It's not a big deal, you know. And we were talking about Buddha, and she had her legs crossed and sitting in front of me. I go, you look just like Buddha. And she couldn't laugh because she couldn't laugh, but she had this like big smile on her face, and on a little screen she put ha 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 ha. It's like, talking to her was watching the live chat. So anyway, so it kind of pissed me off, and but being around her just for that 5 minutes was like, so when I went up on the hill and John was like, you know, oh, what I don't have to say anymore. Just the word, just saying, John. That's all I have to say. You guys have seen it all, but I kind of went a little deep. Oh, you're being so mean to me. And that's when I said, John, and I told him the story of the girl in the wheelchair and what that is to life. And, oh, I would just kill myself. And he said, no. I said, no, John, she saw it as kind of a gift because it enabled her to ascend faster in her soul's journey. Well, do you think there's a hell? Well, I go to hell or heaven. I said, John, hell and heaven are right. Oh, no, it isn't. I said, well, let's roll it back a little bit. Let's say you're a little girl and your parents and your whole family lives in Syria, and American-made aircraft come in and bomb you because they say you're ISIS, and your whole town is obliterated, and you're under the table, and you saw, out the window, your mother and your three siblings running to the house, and the cluster bomb that said made by Lockheed as it was falling came there and vaporized them. And then the napalm came flying through the window, and you saw your father and your two brothers and your grandma and your aunt and her three kids, you know, have the napalm stuck to their bodies, and they're screaming around, in agony. And you watch, and you're under that thing, and some of the napalm gets on you, on your face, but not like them. And you have to watch because the bombs and then the militias all around start shooting at each other. You can't run out of the house, and you watch that part of your family. It takes them 4 hours to die, and they're on fire, and they're in screaming agony, and and you don't conk out, but you're watching it all go, and you're there for 25 hours, and finally the white hats come in and take you and put you on television to show how terrible things are and how bad Assad is. But in actuality, it was the U.S. Marine Air Corps that just took your town out because you were ISIS. And your dad wasn't ISIS; he was just a baker, and your mom was just a school teacher, you know, and, um, and then you didn't die, and now you're in a hospital, and they chopped your legs off, and your arms, your hands have been chopped off, and your face is, a burnt styrofoam cup, and you can't die, but they have no medicines to deal with your pain, and you can't die, and they expect you to die any minute now, but you don't die, and so they just put you in a ward, and they, well, they'll die, but we don't have enough resources to really spend it on them, and so they don't die, but they suffer and they suffer and they suffer, and this is what's going on around the world, and has been going on around the world time immemorial. When someone asked Jesus, so when's time? When's end times? When's it all coming? And we're all gonna. And Jesus says, I don't know. It's beyond my pay grade. But you know, the end times ain't coming anytime soon. There are wars and rumors of wars and famines and rumors of famines and pestilence and rumors of until you guys get it straight. This is part of your you are doing this, not God, not me. You are doing this. Wake up, ascend your free will's conscious into love, and this will stop. But until it does, it's going to keep going. And by the way, every time you die, you're going to come back here, time after time after time after time. Now, that's in hell. I don't know what is. Now, if you are like Daffy Duck, and there's the devil on this shoulder and the angel on this shoulder, and you spend your time here trying to be the best you can, well, you're going to be in heaven. Even if you're, I mean, there are tons of books written by people who were in Auschwitz, who were trying to be more the angel than the devil, you know? And in prisons, I worked in prisons. That was the same thing. There were people in that, the book Shawshank Redemption is an excellent book, um, on that. And when what's his name writes books like that, that's when he's his best writer, right? Because he's like again doing that thing. How do you become successful? You do something that you feel passionate about. He's really passionate about writing, and you do it in service of love co-creation through making your all your relations, your cadre, understand the story, and that's what I'm trying to do as your sensei Albat, your griot, right? And that's why I'm never down really. I can get like I said, I can get aggro, you know. "Yeah." I don't get down because what do I have to be down about? Oh, I don't have any money. I don't have a place to live. I'm staying. I do. Meaning, if John had to pay somebody to do what I do, they'd be getting $2,000 or $3,000 a week. I did. I ran group homes. I did what I do for John for really rich people because a rich family didn't want to take care of that kid who they didn't want to put him into a mental institution. They wanted to keep him home because they didn't want the New York Post on page 6 to say something about it. And they knew that I was, totally Dr. Do No Harm, so I would never say anything about it. And I would make a difference. Again, my 3 rules, right? And John, same thing. I don't really talk about John's business, where John will blab about me, but this, that, and the other thing about me, without any even blink of an eye. So I can't really tell him anything. I can share understanding with John, but I can't really. I can try to involve him, but he won't. Every time I try to involve John, he's like, I mean, going out to parties or going to events or being part of something. Like I was involved in a social activity here called Community Cultivators. And I and a group of people, it was again one of these windows of opportunity, this neighborhood that wasn't, they called it the black neighborhood, but it's not. And that's because Roanoke is this very diverse place, but it was a certain socioeconomic group. And the rich people were forcing the Chamber of Commerce, which was forcing the city council to do things that, and all these people owned their house for the last, 6 generations. And they like this one neighborhood in it's called, what's it called? It's Melrose and there's another Rugby. And they made them historical landmark neighborhoods. So by doing that, these people had to bring those houses up to that standard, like put the copper roof on and this and that. And they had architects going around saying, oh, it's got to be this way by this time. Well, these people could barely buy lunch. And the reason why they were kind of surviving was they didn't have to pay rent because they owned the house. Yes, they had to pay taxes. And it was very low rent, kind of place. So the taxes were kind of low. But once they made it a historical neighborhood, the taxes went up through the roof and they couldn't pay them. So these properties were taken away and their real estate rents. Not only that, there were a number of people on the city council who were real estate people who they would make the rules, so would push the people out and then they'd buy the properties at auction for like $10, right? And that's how America rules. We're a capitalist society, right? Basically state capitalism. But anyway, or a capitalist state, however you want to look at it. But that's why I stuck around in Roanoke so long. So anyway, we did a jobs fair, and the jobs fair that they have, that's put on by Goodwill and the Red Cross and TAP and HAT and all those sock puppet organizations who write grants and get $5 or $6 million and then pay off their board, and don't do anything, right? The Mission, all those guys, you know. So we had a jobs fair where we first and foremost got 100 jobs, and then we got those employers there at the fair on the street, and we had a stage, and we had music, and all kinds of fun things. But we had all these booths for all these employers, and we did um, the jobs fair on a Friday, and that Monday, 100 people went to work. And the big whoop-de-doo jobs fair event they have at the Civic Center, that that all those entities raise funds to put it on. They raise about $1 million between all these groups to get handbags printed and flyers and things to do this event, and they get the space free. And we put this thing on, and we got 100 people, and the one at Civic Center gets this many people a job. So we got 100 people a job, and that so blew people's minds. They couldn't believe what we did. It was just 6 guys, and these guys were like, they were all black. I was the only white guy. When I showed up to that meeting, I was wearing lime green shorts. I had my legs in braces, and I was walking with a walker. And my hair I had a lot more hair. It was like up here, and all of this hair was this gray. And when I got sick, all of this hair fell out. Now this is coming back, and it's dark. Anyway, so I was there, and I knew a couple of those guys. So when I showed up, the other like, what's you, white guy? What are you doing here? And the other two go, no, this is Al. It's good that thanks for showing up, Al. And we put this thing together. And my job, particularly, was just to get these 6 guys to A, work together, and B, they all had the skill set that with that little thing they could do very well. So I just kind of focused them on that thing they could do really well, did the rest of the stuff. And I know all the people in the city government, so I got the guy who was in charge of they had a movable stage. I got him to give us the stage. I got the sanitation guys to close the street off, and the bus guy to route the buses around. I got the bus guy because we did it kind of in I think in July. I got them to put 3 buses there and leave the air conditioning go. So when the old folks or somebody who was getting a little peaked, we could put them in the refrigerated bus. And the fire department brought us tons of bottled water and ice. And, a couple of guys said, oh, we should sell this and make money. I said, no, we're going to give this away free, period. That's it. If you say that again, I'm going to hit you with a chair. And, of course, I couldn't do it because I couldn't even lift the chair. I can lift the chair now. And so, we did this. We got 100 people a job. And then myself, and I got everyone's name and number. I got all the people that we got the companies to give these jobs. They wanted employees. And I kept for a whole year a demographic, train of what was going on, who stayed in the job, what da-da-da, how they worked, da-da-da. And about 80% of those people, the 100 that we got a job for, still have that job. And they got out of the the crappy housing they were in. They got their kids into better neighborhoods, so they got better. We touched 100 families, and we probably changed 1,000 people's lives. And those 6 guys who couldn't get along and really didn't do anything, and then they got a real big shot in the arm. So they all got jobs for the city and started, parts of Oregon, blah, 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 blah. I call them the usual suspects. And they haven't done anything since, right? So, but I took John there, and, because he's a filmmaker, and I walked him through it. And you can go to Dragon's site that, he has all my stuff on. And he took all the stuff from John's and put it up there. It's called Something in the Community. Unity in the Community. That was the name of our thing. Unity in the Community. That event was called Unity in the Community. And so I got him there, and he had his camera. So we would interview this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. And after a while, he started, when I had to go do stuff, I left him. I said, just shoot the B-roll, right? And so he went around, and that's when he just started um, being somewhat inappropriate. And people said, who's that guy with you, with the camera? And I said, oh, what's happening? He said, well, and if you go to watch the video, you'll see it, because there's the first part when I was walking John around, it was real focused, and I was editing that film in the camera by, directing him around, And I don't know if he put titles on it, but, he basically said, I did this film. It was a John Birmingham production, I wrote it. I did this, I did that. It's like, really? Okay. But I didn't care, because I just wanted a documentation of it. And then I got copies of that from John. And, I have to say, it was his equipment. He shot it. He edited it, and he did a really good job at that. And he made a number of copies that I gave to all the people who I wanted to have a documentation of it. But he wouldn't follow up, because I was doing this thing. I wanted to then take it to these people's family. Because, he had, after a certain point, he said, I have to leave. My kids became so uncomfortable. I'm so anxious. I gotta go. And so I just walked him over to his truck and put him in the truck, and he drove away. And that's John. Pretty much every time I try to get him involved in something that would be really, like, we went to Mysticon, and it was amazing. I mean, there were 1,000 people who made movies, who made costumes, who made scenery, who did everything about making movies. I remember 80 movie makers. There were 80 films that they showed over that 3 days. And what was the most fun was, so there were tons of people just roaming around. They had booths and tables and all kinds of stuff. And if you go into mine, you can see me walking around talking to people, and they were just so much fun. And the first day, John, I have to go. It was a Friday, so I took him back. And next day, he had morning kind of things. It was a Saturday, and I took him to that. And I just didn't, I filmed the first one he did. And it was like, oh, I can't even watch this. Go watch it on his channel, right? And then watch mine of me roaming around talking to all kinds of people. He had the opportunity to, and there was like more women there than guys, like 60% women. The lady who started it was a woman. The crew who were organizing or made it run, women, right? There was this great woman who did the film show, and brilliant. And so there was at least 1,000 like I said, filmmakers, costumiers, props, all of that, right? It was amazing. And so anyway, Saturday he does that thing. I'm roaming around, and I don't go I don't go film him, because I didn't want him. Didn't want. Well, and the first Friday he was wearing a pair of jeans and a shirt. Saturday he showed up with a banana hammock and a Italian, where it was just a little T-shirt that covered this, but the rest was that, and people would be looking at him like, what because people were in costume. What superhero is this? And he goes, oh no, it's John. I'm a filmmaker. Anyway, and I didn't want to shoot John doing that. That would have been like, because I got about 15 minutes of it on Friday, and it was just so. But I was having a good time. I was talking around, telling this, talking about, and these guys. I was talking to were out there. You couldn't smoke in the place. So I went out with them and talked to them. And I was on the steps, and I see John go right by. And he goes like up the wrong way on a road. So the guy who's directing traffic is like, no, you got to turn around and go back. So here's John. I came in John's car. Here's John leaving me there. And I run up, and he turns around, and I jump and, I'm going, John. He's like, so I get in front of the car and put my hands on the hood, and he stops. He could have run me over, because he didn't see me on the side going, John. And then he goes, good. Oh, here you are. Oh, drive me home. Drive me home. I can't tell. I'm so anxious. I'm so nervous. I said, John, what are you talking about? This is great. Come on, get out of this park. Come on. Oh, no, 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 no. And he wouldn't get out of the car. And, and he couldn't. He said, I can't drive home. You got to drive me home. So I said, fine. So I drove him home. I made him lunch because he needed to eat something. And part of it is when he eats, it changes. He's got hypoglycemia. So he's got a whole bunch of things. If he only be conscious of this stuff. I'm conscious, not all the time, but I'm pretty conscious. So I'm conscious of all, things I need to do. And that's why I'm alive. So I'm walking around. That's why people go, I can't believe you're that sick. You're not that sick. No, you're not. I never talk about it. I don't keep going on and on about it, but when the subject comes up, and they said, oh, you spent, where were you? I said, I was at the doctor's. What do you mean at the doctor's? And I said, well, I have to go to the doctor's, at least one of those doctors once a month. And every 6 months, I got to see all of them kind of in a row. And, they tell them, you can't, you're thin, you're this, you're not, you've got your legs, you can see. Anyway, and so I took John, gave him lunch, and then I went back. And I got back there, we got there at about 9, that's when he had his thing. Around 10:30, he nearly ran me over, and I drove him home and made lunch, and I got back by 12. And because, I drove in a place, every parking spot was taken, and I drove up, and there was one parking spot right in front of the front door. He was waiting for me. Just kind of drove in, went in, went around, had a lot of fun, talked to people, did interviews, read like 100 people's palm, and there was a tarot card lady, and she made tarot cards. And I said, can I borrow one of those? Because I did a reading on her. She goes, wow, that's pretty cool. Because I kind of mix all these things together. I'm not just one or this or that. And so she said, sure, take any of these here. She gave me a pack, and she was selling those suckers for $40, $50. She gave me a pack. And I went around, I read people's, and they were a chrome, they were not just tarot cards, but they were based on the 25 symbols. What is it called? It's a divination tool. Anyway, so they were very cool. And I did that. And so I, read everyone a reading. Didn't charge anybody anything. So as evening came, people were like, well, let's go have dinner. So I went to dinner with a whole bunch of people. And the top 2 floors of this place were set aside for people who could get suites. And there was one elevator that they got to just go there. They had a guy, security there. So unless you had something on your ID, because you couldn't be there without a little thing around your neck. And so this person said, stuck a little sticker on my thing that allowed me to get on there, because that's where the party was going to start, right? And that's when the really fun part was going to be. So, I got there at noon. I read everybody's palms and did all this. And, somebody took me to lunch, had a great conversation with all those people. Somebody took me to dinner and said, boy, here, let me stick this little sticker on your thing so you can come to the party. And it starts around 7. So and I watched movies, and they had a drum circle, and they had dancing. I mean, these are all things I love. That's just so much fun. And John could, and like I said, there were more. There was like 4 women for every guy that was there, and and I said, John, you should not go. This is going to be loads of fun. It's just, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Oh, no, I'm so nervous. And there's no filmmakers here. I said, John, what are you talking about? There's 1,000. There's movies. Well, they're not as good as my movies. And they were far better and on way less of a budget than his. I mean, they had different types in this, film festival. And one of the types were people who made their movie in less than 40, meaning the shooting time was 45 hours set, because they had such a limited budget, 45 hours. And by that limitation, all of their props, all of their sets, all of their signs were just so creative. It was, they put themselves in that limitation to push their creativity. And there were ones that, you had to spend less than $5,000 on, and it had to be a feature. It wasn't like a 5-minute film. And they had, 5-minute films, but anyway, it was, and I watched a lot of those, and it was great. The audience was great. The audience was full of filmmakers. So after the film, they had, went into another room where they had, everyone asked questions and talked, how did you do this? And John said, oh, they're not filmmakers. They're just, no, virtually more than half of those people, not only were, I mean, everyone was passionate about what they did. If you watch my video where I talked to all the people and put them up, like, can I take you? And I put them up there, especially the costumier. I mean, everybody I talked to was like, wow. And not only were they super passionate about what they did, they basically made their living at doing it. And John said, well, they don't make, I said, no, John, but more than 90% of the people who were there were making their living. They couldn't make that much money. They're not making millions. No, but they're, you're always going, how am I going to pay my bills? Paying their bills, And a couple of them were doing pretty good. So anyway, um, so I took John home, went back at noon, stayed there, all of Saturday. I went to the parties all Saturday night. There was this one suite where authors of really great books came and read the books, right? So they kind of pushed all the furniture of that room into the bathroom, and oops, and and they had a couch, and so the hotel kind of lined the seats up in a way that you couldn't see the guy, couldn't hear the guy, and when one of the first guys started, and everyone's got, I said, wait a minute. Everyone get up. Simon says, everyone get up. They all got up. I said, now take your individual chairs and make a circle. And the guy is going to be at the head here, and we're all going to be around. And the couch where I was part of that circle. And they could all hear him. They could all see each other. I mean, it made everything really good. And so, I sat on the couch and I lied down, right? I was just, because I was tired of walking around. So I was lying down with my feet up in the air. And the first guy was really great. So he walks out, and he comes over to me and goes, what you did was amazing. It totally made it for me, and it obviously made it for everyone. And so he gives me one of his books and signs it, your friend. And I said, oh, gee, thanks. And so I'm laying there, and then someone comes in with a plate of food with me. And I said, where did this come from? He said, haven't you been to the Sweets? I said, Sweets? And he goes, yeah, did you know? I said, oh, I thought it was just, no. So there was like 20 in the 2 floors, so about 20 suites. So it was the Egyptian suite, the Bunny suite, the Star Wars suite, the Babylon 5 suite, you name it suite. And everyone was living that life, right? And some of them had unbelievable food. I mean, really good food and booze. Virtually all of them had a real bar, not just like punch or wine or beer, but I mean, whatever you kind of want, whatever liquor you wanted. And this one thing, it was the coffee suite, everything coffee. And they had one of those coffee machines, cappuccino and the whole thing. And he had all these coffee liqueurs, right? And so he goes, you're in my palm downstairs at my table. I said, oh, yeah. So he gives me a piece of chocolate coffee cake, richest thing, with coffee ice cream on top, with coffee sprinkled chocolate on top of that, with coffee flavored whipped cream, and this amazing coffee drink. So I'm like, wow, this is right. And then he comes over and takes my plate away, and he shakes my hand, and there's a Benjamin in my hand. He goes, that's for that reading you gave me, and I saw you give it to everyone in the big room. And anyone else giving you any money? I said, no, but I don't, but I'll take this. I have no money, so thanks a lot. So from that point on, people kept coming over and like handing me money. I mean, he must have said, hey, that guy read your poem. You should give him some. Anyway, so, that was going on. And so I'm in the Egyptian room, and there are all these, everyone's like looking like Nefertiti and, Ra. And I'm sitting there reading people's, just reading everyone's poem, right? And they were calling me the soothsayer. I'm reading everyone's poem. And these two girls come and sit down to me, and they're in slinky bunny outfits, meaning they're wearing a clinging, almost see-through thing that they have sewed fur on the spots, so they're relatively decent. But I mean this. I don't even know how they got these suits on because there was no zipper. It's like, but they had little doorways at the uh, places of where you had to, you know, have entry or exit. And anyway, so they have these outfits on where their faces are just so cute. They're bunny girls, right? And they're not like Playboy bunnies. These are like bunnies. Anyway, so they're sitting on either side, and I'm reading their palms, and we're talking, and they start doing this to me. Oh, I like that. Oh, yes, you're cute. I like that. I like older men. I'm like, and they go, "Have you been to the bunny hutch yet?" I said, "What's the bunny hutch?" Well, this is the, Egyptian suite. The bunny hutch is the bunnies. Okay, take me, girls. So they kind of helped me up and walked me over the bunny hutch, and we go in there, and it was one gigantic. What do bunnies do? Well, that's what they were doing, right? And they had a part of it was a 2-room suite, and one of the rooms was like they were bunny hopping, and the other part of the suite was they were doing that's where the bunny hutch was. And they had a very nice bar, and they had carrots and carrot cake. And anyway, so the girl said, um, we should go into the bunny hutch. And I go, sure, why not? You know. And so we went in there, and we're just kind of sitting on the couch watching everything go on. She goes, is this getting you excited? I said, well, yeah, but I don't have any testosterone, so it's. And they said, well, are you tired? And I said, yeah, I'm a little, peaked. Anyway, she said, well, we have our, upstairs, we've got our own suite. Want to go up there? I mean, it's you don't like all the people doing it in front of you. I said, well, yeah, it's a little disconcerting. So they take me up there, and, we, again, I have no testosterone, but we became very cuddly, let's say. And that was really nice. And after about, I don't know, an hour or so of that, they said, actually, that was so much nicer than what's going on down at the Bunny Hutch. I mean, we take part in that, but this was so different. This was so intimate, so nice. So, and those girls live not here, but close by, and they, anyway. So we went from there, and they said, "Oh, you still up for anything?" I said, "Sure." She goes, "I go, the drum circle is happening now. We can dance." I said, sounds like my plan. That's what I love. So we go down there, we play the drums, and I'm a pretty good drummer. And they're, how did you know you could drum? And we're dancing, and I'm drumming, and they're going, how do you do that? Because they kind of took my boots and shoes off and massaged my feet, and realized this one girl was an osteopath, and she goes, you don't have any bones down there, do you? I said, no. She goes, how do you walk? I said, with faith. And I mean, I did this thing to these girls that, they were this, just like I was a hedonist for 10 years. They were bunny girls. And they got into that thing where they dress up in costumes to, do what bunnies do. And in a way that, they don't have to prescribe to any norms. And what they did with me was so outside of their wheelhouse, but they liked it so much because we were just having good, clean fun, right? And they were like, we want to hang out more with you. I said, well, girls, any time off, I have this place called the Deep Green. Come and get me, and I'll show you something. You like this? I'll show you some stuff they really like. Anyway, so they're on my phone list, and I don't know, if they watch this because I gave them my card with everything on it, and hopefully they are, but they haven't like, hey, we're the bunny girls. They haven't really drawn whatever. Like I said, half of you guys, I don't know what's gender you are, what planet you're from. All I can tell from you guys is your energetics. How much love is in your heart. What's going on? The world is full of hypocrites, yes, but it has always been that way. Don't say that's any worse. It's just what it is. So we're not hypocrites. You know, we are the cadre. You know, there's only one I trust, and a very few others to a lesser degree. Well, that's good. You know, trust but verify. You know. I was a born like again. Go to xratted.blogspot.com, and I have these 6 cuts of one of my novels, and each one has a real. You know, one story is about when I died and was stuck up on the thing and ran out of money and everything, and people brought me to a rainbow gathering, right? Which I was Mr. Rainbow, and I said, well, this might be good. And it was also I had not really said, oh, I was still working for the lawyers, but I was sick, but I was like ignoring it, which was, and I went to the Rainbow Gathering. So there's that story. And if you want to know what a Rainbow Gathering is, that story really takes it. Right? Then another one, me going to Australia and me living with the Aborigines and me being in dream time. That's why it's dreamy dreamland. And my, dream time on John Box's show. And, that's what it's, So let's see. I'll qualify my previous remark, which was human simplicity to be precisely who they are. Yeah, right. Hope that isn't too joyous. Nope. Very, right on. Yes, the best ever Griot. Yep. I try. I do my best. You know. Okay. So anyway, again, let's see. Where are we? So John could have had an amazing, life-altering thing. And then when I told him, he said, oh, you did what with those girls? I said, yeah. Well, I couldn't do that because, I want to still get back with Danny. And it was like, John, come on. But that was in February. Anyway, so he's been that way since I sold him the school. And now he's better. He's not as striking out. He's, he is a good person. He is a nice person. He is all of those things that we should all be, but he can't be that. It's down in there, but it's like I've told you that story, and you can go on either my channel or his, where he comes to me, and he wants us to do, me to tell the Crone story again, so 70,000 people. He wants to make another 30 videos that he can advertise on his channel, and they'll each get 30 to 60,000 people to watch it, and and he doesn't even know why people watch those things or how they got there, right? So, and I'm not going to do those again. I don't do the same thing over and over again. No, so I did. So I do these guided meditations with you guys, and so he wanted me to put him in state, and he wanted to talk to his grandma to see what she would tell him about what he should do with his life. I said, sure, John. And so I do the whole ceremony, click, start the fire, do all of my stuff. And he has his camera over here running on his tripod, and I've got mine in my hand. So it's, my camera, his camera, 2 different points of view. So anyway, we do it. He does what he does, trying to ignore everything and a laundry list and all that. But as soon as I get him to breathe that 20%, he's like there. And his grandma comes, and he's like, "Wow, there's grandma," and they're talking, and she's saying, "Tell her how much she loves me." And I said, "Go watch it." But the laundry list comes out, and the squirrel really takes over, and I kind of just, give him a little more shamanic juice, and grandma comes back, and then the squirrel doubles down, and then grandma comes back, and there's this point where the squirrel is screaming. John is screaming, the squirrel, and the grandma's, starting to talk in Italian, which John can't speak a word of. And at a certain point, there's in England, if you want to say frack you, this is victory, that's frack you. And in Italy, to say frack you bite your hand. Now, I can't do it because I have no teeth, except for 4. And I don't want them to fall out if I do anything this way. Anyway, so You can see it in real life. His grandma screaming in Italian, the squirrel screaming like this, and John Smith. And that's a pretty intense video, and that's why I say you guys need to kind of go back and look at these things and that's why I keep doing them because every single one of them is different um, in a way, and they represent a shamanic tool and what's in the world. And where Jamie's going on, oh, I don't trust anybody, blah, everyone's a hypocrite. Well, that's, go read the New Testament with Jesus. I mean, that's what he was saying, right? I mean, he's the guy who threw the money changers out of the temple. That's why they nailed him to the cross. When he said, give to Caesar, and to God, God's. And what he was saying is exactly what I'm saying, that Caesar is that illusion, that Luciferian, that's Caesar, Lucifer, right? So yeah, give that shit to him. That's an illusion. And what is God? It's the love's co-creation, the only reality. And that's what he's saying. Go read that whole thing in the New Testament, right? And they have this thing, the gospel of Jesus, right? They also have the gospel of, who was Jesus' buddy who took the 30 pieces of silver? That guy. That was his best friend from childhood. And he did that because in the book, it says, this has to happen for Jesus to do what he had to do. And so Jesus asked that boy to turn him in. And Jesus said, listen, you're my best friend, the only person I can trust. The rest of those chuckleheads, forget about it. But you've known me since childhood. And you know that this is where I was. And yes, you thought that I was going to be, the rabble rouser. And I am. But it's like not just for Israel right here, right now. It is for all the marbles. And you have to do this, Judas. Judas, you have to do this. You have to turn me in. And not only that, you will be, maligned for thousands of years. Everyone is going to point at you as the worst human being ever. But in reality, you're my friend. You're going to do this. You're going to turn me in and make sure I get nailed across because you love me. And it's going to be tough for you, man. After I'm gone, it's going to be tough for you. And whatever happens after that, there's always a seat for you at my table. I will, yes, you're a little aggro. Yes, you're this, you're that. People don't like you, but you're my bro. I love you. I love you more than anyone in my family. By this time, Jesus had a lot. He had James. He had a whole bunch of folks in his family, and so that's Judas, right? And so Judas, because he didn't die immediately, Jesus came back. They kind of split town, and Jesus and the clan moved all over Europe and went all over the place, right? And came to North America, and went to Asia and went to South America, all of the above. And so there is a gospel by Jesus and there's a gospel by Judas. And they found those, in little urn pots and found them in libraries that I had access to. There were people who were studying them and, you had to go there in a spacesuit and read them. Did they say anything about it? Ooh. Now, some people tried to get some of it out. And so if you go, there's a lot of this stuff around. And other people kind of picked up on the juice and wrote it in autonomic writing. So there's nothing hidden. It's just that, most of the population goes along to get along. They want their credit card. They want to go to Disneyland. They want to watch what's on Netflix. They're really not thinking about ascending their soul. Not really. They think free will is being able to choose pickles or lettuce on their cheeseburger. That's not free will. Okay. Hey, fish. Yep. I'm going to try, like I said, we're supposed to have some pretty windy stuff. Our little antenna could blow off the school because it's just hanging out up there with sandbags on it. So, depending on all of the variations of the universe, I've gotten my channel back. And the other thing I did yesterday afternoon, which was a pretty interesting channel. All of you guys who were on it yesterday, that was a pretty good chat, as is this one. You know, I just love you guys. You are the best. I mean, we have why I'm your griot. I'm Babylon here, but you are going on here, and you're energetically putting it into me to put it into you, and that's what the griot does. That's what the sensei does. The relationship of the sensei and the adept is at one moment the adept's being the teacher, and the teacher is being the adept, and it does this all the time, and that's what causes co-creation. That's what love wants us to do. Not become rock stars, famous or super duper. I am living like a millionaire, and I never have. I just spent the last $13 I had for breakfast, and people go, "Why would you do that?" I mean, somebody else gave me $20, and I put that in my gas tank yesterday. Meaning, whatever needs to be done, I'll take care of it, right? And I will find whatever resources I need. Like the other day, you know, I needed to pay for my phone and my rent on my PO box. And anybody wants to send me anything, PO Box 1165, Vinton, Vinton, Virginia 24179. 24179. Yep, I think that's it. You can look it up. Vinton, Virginia. How? Will do me well. ADMARTINO. Right? If you want to send me any cash, send it by Western Union. And, pick up your phone, use your credit card. And, hey, Western Union, I must spend some money to ADMARTINO in Roanoke, Virginia. Then you go on to the Dude Awake 42 and say, hey, I just sent you some money, and the control number is this. And I go to any one of a zillion supermarkets because they all have Western Union in them, give my name, show my driver's license, give me the control number, they give me the money. That overall is the easiest, simplest for everybody and doesn't involve PayPal or any of those clouds. And once this really starts humming, I'm heading towards the deep green relatively soon, and there are a lot of you who I'm coming, I'll be there. And really, all we need is a handful of people to start the circus off, right? And we start that. One of the main things I want to do once we get the Humanities Artists Trust International going, the 501c3, I want to start. All we need is a server. We can have our own YouTube. We won't have to go through Google or any of that, right? We can do our own thing because they did that, Anyway, so that's the story. Okay, I love you guys. It's 1 hour and 47 minutes. I think we're done with the chatting. We're all good, and I'll catch you later. Gator. So tonight, 7:30, I'll try to go on there. Like I said, depending on all of the myriad of variables that are the school, I'll try. Okie dokie. Okay, where do I? Right over here. Okay, so let's see. So it's 1 hour, 48 minutes. So when it hits 48 seconds, I'm going to say goodnight. So, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses. And forgive us not our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. As it was in the beginning. Hey, dragon, is now, ever shall be, world without end. Peace from the leprechaun land. Yes. Galig Bagalan Shalom to you and all our relations. I love you guys. I'll see you tonight. Catch you later. Have a good day. Have a good night. Sweet dreams. Have a good breakfast. Any of the above. Okay? Love you guys. And remember, you want to catch a hold of me, why don't you just Gmail me now? I'm here. The phone's on. We can have a little conversation. If you want a one-on-one, I'm here. Actually, when I get off of this, I'm going to go check out the Gmail and see what people have been saying, especially that one guy who just kept going on and on. But I must see something on the Gmail. Okay. I love you guys. Till then. Here we go. Come on. Go. Not yet. we want to end, yes.